In this video today, I'm going to give you a preview of the entire Mizuno golf shoe range for 2021. That's 6 different pairs of golf shoes that I'm going to be showing you today. In fact, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So let's jump straight in with their top of the line premium model, which is the Nexlight Pro. Now, a major focus for Mizuno this year has been on the lightness of this golf shoes, hence the name Nexlight. And with the Pro, this is the lightest spiked golf shoe that they currently have in their range. Coming in at 325 grams in this UK 9, it is a seriously light golf shoe. But what does that actually matter? Well, I've used these shoes out on the golf course and they are incredibly comfortable. I was really impressed. If you want to check out my full review, I'll include a link down below in the description. But what I've got to say is that while these aren't necessarily the softest golf shoes underfoot, the lightweight nature of them, as well as the way that they fit my feet, and the nice soft leather upper mean that these are an incredibly comfortable pair of golf shoes straight out of the box, and I had no problems walking 18 holes in these shoes. You can see here that Mizuno have incorporated the boa in these shoes and they've used it on the tongue there. In terms of the looks of this shoe, and I would say that they are actually quite understated. You've not got necessarily too much going on with this upper. You've just got this simple leather upper here on the toe box. On the outside of the shoe here, you can see that you've got this grid stitching pattern that goes right along the side of the boa, underneath the ankle and round to the heel as well. On the heel, you probably noticed there that you've got this kind of pattern there and you've got this plasticky material kind of covering it. And on the inside, you've got a little bit of a checked pattern. And I've got to say that there's a nice amount of padding with these shoes. They do give you a nice comfortable fit right out of the box. What you've also got here is that metallic, I don't know if it is metal, no, I think it's plastic, but a metallic looking running bird logo there. And on the bottom of the shoe, you've got 6 spikes there, and you've not necessarily got a full TPU outsole. You've just got these parts there positioned, housing the spikes. And it does give it quite a low profile look. It did take me a little bit of time to get used to that low profile look, but what it does mean is that I think it actually looks really smart, really classy, and goes really well even with a pair of trousers, but also with a pair of shorts. Next up on the list is the Nexlight GS. Now this retails for £125. So you can see that it's a little bit of a takedown model of the premium Pro version. And there are some significant differences with this shoe. One area where there are no differences whatsoever is in that outsole design and the traction pattern. So you can see there that the tooling that Mizuno are using is exactly the same on these 2 pairs of golf shoes. So where are the differences? Well, it's first of all in the upper. So you can see here that I've already tested and reviewed the Nexlight Pro. I've not actually used the GS model out on the golf course yet, but I can definitely tell you that the upper on the cheaper model here, not quite as soft. I don't think this is even leather. This might be a synthetic leather. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily smell like leather. That definitely smells like leather. It's definitely not as soft, not as flexible, and just generally probably won't quite be as nice a place to be out on the golf course. Also, you can see that they've moved the positioning of the boa. So on the GS model, that boa is now sitting on the side panel there of the shoe, on the lateral side. But I've got to say, my personal preference is always for the boa to be on the tongue or on the heel. I'm not a massive fan of it being on the side of the shoe there. Let me know, is that just my personal preference or do other people feel the same about that one? In terms of the fit and feel of this on feet, then I've got to say that actually I can feel that boa system a little bit on the outside of the shoe there. Not necessarily that it's uncomfortable, but I can certainly notice that it is there. It'll be really interesting to see how I get on with these for a full 18 holes out on the golf course. Something else with the boa that's different is that on the Pro version, you can see that the lacing mechanism is kind of hidden by this overlay there on the shoes. So actually the laces are kind of done up on the inside. Compared to that one, it's now all exposed on the outside of the shoe there. Also, you can see that the running bird logo now on the outside of the GS model is this kind of material pattern that's got a little bit of a kind of pattern and glitter to it. It's no longer the metallic pattern on the side. And on the inside of the shoe there, you can see there is an embossed pattern instead. I suppose it might come down to personal preference in terms of the looks of the shoes, because certainly the GS has got a little bit more of an aggressive look to it. Personally, I think I'm a bigger fan of the more minimalistic but premium looking Pro version of these shoes. However, these do retail for around £20 more. So it really depends where you put that value. Personally, I think I'd spend the extra money on the Pro version. What you do get with the GS that you don't get with the Pro is some options with the colors. You can see here that I've got the same shoe, but it is in this black version instead. So those are the 2 spiked models that Mizuno have got in the range. Now let's take a look at their spikeless. So first of all, we've got here the GS Spikeless. What you might be able to recognize straight off the bat is this looks teeny tiny. And that's because it is. So unfortunately, Mizuno currently didn't have any UK 9s to send over to me, so I'm not necessarily going to be able to review these shoes. However, I can still show you what they actually look like. Now this is a UK size 7. Correction, these are a 7.5. Again, the focus is on these being incredibly lightweight. You can see here that the BOA unit is still housed on the side, and Mizuno have got a few different color options for these shoes here as well. So you can see here that we've got this white and blue pattern as well, which I think is a bit more traditional for Mizuno. Now, the actual look of these shoes, certainly in this colorway, is a little bit more bold, and you're certainly going to stand out a little bit more on the golf course. But again, they are a very low profile looking shoe. Take a closer look at that midsole, and you've got this kind of stitching pattern there on that midsole there. Taking a quick look at the bottom of the shoe there, and you can see the spikeless traction pattern that you've got here. So without actually being able to test these shoes, I would suggest that this isn't necessarily the most aggressive traction pattern. Certainly something like a FootJoy Pro SL, or even the new Painter golf shoes that I've done a review on, they've got a more aggressive spikeless pattern there. The studs kind of stick out further and are a lot smaller as well. So I think you would say that you get more surface area with something like one of those shoes. With this one here, the spikes do stick out a fair amount there from the side of the shoe, but as I mentioned, they're not necessarily the most aggressive golf shoes. So I wouldn't necessarily think I'll be relying on these in the wettest of conditions, but out on a dry golf course, I can't think that you're gonna have too many problems. Now, I've also got the NEXLITE 008 BOA. The 008 is using a completely different material here. So you've got this knitted upper. Personally, I definitely prefer the design of this one. I think the colors look a little bit better for me and is much more what I'd like to wear out on the golf course. Feeling that upper, this mesh upper, it's not the softest knit that I've ever felt, really. I'm not even sure whether it is a knit or if it's a mesh, I'm not entirely sure, but I would definitely say that I've probably felt softer out on the golf course. Mizuno are saying that this upper is waterproof, so that's always really, really good, especially for a mesh upper. And you can see here, in terms of the styling of the shoe, I really like the fact that you've got this tan leather back heel part there. I think that looks really, really cool. And you've got this silicone wrap there on the toe box to kind of protect that mesh there a little bit. Also, because this is a material upper, you've also got a material BOA system as well. I think it would look a little bit out of place if you had those plastic straps going across. So again, I think that's a nice touch. So personally, I think actually this is the best looking of the spikeless shoes in this Mizuno range. In terms of the grip, it is exactly the same as the previous ones that I showed you before, so there's nothing new there. So last but certainly not least, Mizuno have also got a casual looking spikeless golf shoe. This is called the Relaxed G-Style. Random name, but there you go. And as you can see here, it looks more like just a kind of casual pair of trainers, really. Doesn't necessarily look anything like a pair of golf shoes. Not necessarily with the focus on being incredibly lightweight. However, actually, they do still feel quite lightweight. I'm quite impressed with that. What I can say about these is that these have definitely got a much, much wider fit compared to the rest of the golf shoes in the range. In fact, on the inside, it's even got wide style written there. So if you're looking for a comfortable, wide fit of a golf shoe, this is probably going to be one that you want to take a look at. Probably the most comparable to it is something like the FootJoy Stratus or some of the Eco golf shoes as well. Eco, Echo, I'll call it Eco, probably should call it Echo. Now this does come in a white version as well, but for me, I definitely prefer it in the blue. There's not too much going on with it as well. It is a very kind of plain looking golf shoe. So you can see you've got the logo there embossed both on the outside and on the inside. And on the back, you've got the white heel area as well. This is using a soft touch Kure upper, as Mizuno call it. And that's actually the same upper on the GS Spikeless as well as on the GS Spiked as well. So it's not necessarily a leather upper, it's called a Kure upper. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it is reasonably soft to the touch, but it isn't anywhere near as soft as that leather on the Nexlight Pro. I haven't actually had a chance to test these out on the golf course, but I will do soon. Looking at the bottom of the shoe there, you can see that it is quite a casual spikeless pattern design there. So certainly these are designed to be a pair of golf shoes that you can easily wear on and off of the golf course. If you do want to check out my full review of the brand new Nexlight Pro golf shoes, then I've included the video here. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can keep up to date with all my latest reviews of golf shoes and tech right here on Golf Guy Reviews.